that we shared are in the past. Your relationships are never meant to last.
Hola busqueros, bienvenidos otro día más, otra tarde más, con otro panel espectacular. Lo único que va a haber un cambio, que lo vamos a hacer en inglés. Así que, welcome to the next panel. Let's go talk about how to find data science and career opportunities worldwide from Latin America. Here with us is today Rafael Bonelli, CEO of Busqueros.com. Also Íñigo Lerreaga, CTO of Busqueros.com, and we have a Chris Dressler working from a Dressler Consulting, who is going to explain us today with a group how to find data science career opportunities. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the second panel of Busqueros Live. Good afternoon, Rafael, Íñigo, Chris.
Buenas tardes.
Oh,
Good afternoon.
good afternoon.
Chris, can you, oh, you got your
there
camera.
you go.
There we
Somehow I couldn't open up the video, but thank you.
go. Where are you located, Chris?
I'm up in New York on Long Island.
Okay, so we have Madrid, New York, Lima, and San Jose right now on the speaker panel, and we got attendees coming in, and we have people also on our auditorium and on our Facebook and YouTube. So anyway, Íñigo, I wanted to introduce Íñigo Lejarza, who's our Chief Digital Officer. He's also the country manager, sorry, Chief Data Officer. I am, and we're talking about the data science bootcamp here in this call. So Íñigo, why don't you give us an introduction and let's take this panel on the road.
Bueno, muy buenas tardes a toda la audiencia. Vamos a hablar de la ciencia de datos, porque es una carrera interesante y por qué vamos a presentar o a lanzar lo que ustedes van a tener la oportunidad de presenciar en la tarde de hoy. En el año 2012, la revista Harvard Business Review dijo que ser científico de datos era la carrera más sexy del siglo XXI. Y efectivamente, si no la más sexy, sigue siendo una de las más sexys. ¿Por qué? Porque conforme van desarrollándose nuestras capacidades en infraestructura, en capacidades de procesamiento, en infraestructura en la nube y demás, la cantidad de datos que venimos generando viene en un aumento exponencial. Esto todavía se va a multiplicar muchísimo más una vez la tecnología de 5G vuelva o se convierta en el estándar y la norma y tengamos una internet llena de sensores, de cámaras, de monitores reportando información en tiempo real. O sea, la demanda por este tipo de ocupaciones va a seguir en aumento en el futuro previsorio. Aunque si bien es cierto que muchas de las funciones más tediosas y de carpintería del trabajo del científico de datos se están automatizando, por ejemplo, todo lo que tiene que ver con carga y limpieza de datos, todo lo que tiene que ver con ingeniería de características, todo lo que tiene que ver con selección de modelos, afinamiento de hiperparámetros y demás, lo cierto es que hay un montón de ámbitos donde la intervención humana es inescapable. Al final del pipeline siempre vamos a necesitar un cerebro humano, tratando de entender eso que hemos logrado entrenar en nuestro modelo y tomar en cuenta las implicaciones o las consecuencias que puede tener eso que estamos haciendo. Estamos hablando del ámbito de los negocios, estamos hablando del ámbito de la salud, del ámbito de las finanzas, temas donde la automatización todavía distará muchísimo de asumir funciones de toma de decisiones. Esa demanda creciente ustedes la pueden observar si ustedes se meten, digamos, a LinkedIn y piden que les muestre cualquier oferta relacionada con datos, van a ver que todos los días están apareciendo diferentes tipos de perfiles relacionados con esta disciplina de la ciencia de datos en general. Es decir, hay demanda y esa demanda se va a mantener durante los próximos años, porque un montón de empresas van a empezar a hacer uso de esta tecnología, empresas que no lo han estado haciendo, pero que se están viendo impulsadas a la transformación digital, pues un poco a golpe de tambor, sobre todo merced a esta pandemia. Otra gran virtud que tiene este trabajo es que si hay un trabajo que se puede hacer remoto, es este. Es decir, con acceso a la infraestructura de la nube de cualquiera de los proveedores grandes, es irrelevante donde esté usted haciendo análisis de datos, donde esté usted entrenando modelos. Eso le abre una perspectiva laboral muchísimo más amplia, porque usted puede ofrecer sus servicios a empresas prácticamente de todo el mundo. Usted se convierte en un trabajador global o en un recurso utilizable globalmente. Otro aspecto a favor de esta disciplina es que en general los salarios, incluso a nivel de ingreso, a niveles junior, son buenos salarios. Y una virtud adicional, usted puede hacer carrera en ciencia de datos. La disciplina es muy amplia, viene evolucionando, además evoluciona muy rápidamente, siempre están desarrollándose nuevos algoritmos, nuevos modelos, nuevas formas de enfrentar problemas, nuevas problemáticas que se abordan desde el aprendizaje automático y la inteligencia artificial. Entonces, usted puede comenzar en un nivel más sencillo y tendrá la oportunidad de desarrollar una carrera profesional e ir adquiriendo cada vez roles más complejos, con habilidades mucho más complejas, valga la redundancia. Por eso precisamente es que estamos haciendo esta actividad del día de hoy y como nos contará Rafael, tenemos algo muy importante que anunciarles a todos ustedes. Adelante, Rafael.
Gracias, Íñigo. Explico brevemente en español lo que va a suceder ahora en adelante para ya entrar a hablar en inglés. Chris, I'm going to explain a little bit in Spanish to the audience how we're going to run it as a conversation, but I want to put it to them first. Chris y yo vamos a conversar sobre el tema que tenemos y después vamos a mostrar el stand de Deaf Republic que tenemos en la Feria de Costa Rica y lo que esto representa para todo este negocio de data science y lo que nosotros efectivamente estamos haciendo. So Chris, thank you for coming to this conference, and thank you for participating in the fair and for obviously coming to give us your knowledge and your insights. I know you have a very detailed presentation, but let me, which we haven't been, I know you're a busy guy and we haven't been able to coordinate very much, but we want to have more of a conversation with you regarding you as a data scientist and as a person who's hiring data scientists. What are your insights for people who are looking to join and, you know, who are looking maybe to change careers and become a data scientist, right?
Well,
And,
oh, go ahead.
yes, go ahead.
Oh, well, I actually, so I have a stripped down little thing. I want to make sure we're all talking about the same thing, because data science is a journey. It's not it's more than, it's the journey, it's the basis of a lot of different things. So, and it can be different things to different people. Most importantly, it's an exciting time to be in this career. Can I share my screen from?
Yes, yes, of course. Let me give you.
I'm going to share it, and hopefully I have a very stripped down version.
Yeah, there you go.
Of what
Okay.
you probably saw.
Yeah, okay.
Oops. Right, wrong one. So present. So in essence, when you think about data science, many folks think of, they're not sure exactly what data science is. And I think it's important that everybody understands what it is. And it's not just, you know, working on sexy problems and everything. So I like to use what I call the data science pyramid. And in the data science pyramid, what you really do is you're looking at all of the different things that a data scientist is going to have to do. And if you're in a, let's say, a small startup company, you're going to be between 1 and 10 persons, you're going to be responsible for all of the different layers. So the bottom layer, let's call that instrumentation and logging, right? This is really data science, I would say, engineers, DBAs, software engineers, and it's very important for you to learn these skills. So you need to manipulate data, you need to understand applications, you need to understand APIs. If you go up another layer, you have move and storing your data. So this is really a data engineer is going to be doing this. And it's all about making sure that you've got a reliable pipeline for data, and you're going to be working on ETLs, and you're going to be, making sure their schemas are built properly. The next thing, if you go up, is really
hold on, Chris. Let me interrupt you there. Go back one slide
Yeah.
because I saw a little core, because I'm thinking about the people who are out there thinking, hey, is this something for me, right?
Yeah.
And there is one box on the top that said that you get between $200,000 and $250,000 in a unicorn, which means we all know what they are, but in New York. So
that's, by the way, this is now 300,000.
no, 200 to 250,000. You're saying?
Yeah, add 50K to all of that now.
Add 50K, so that went up to 300
In
Okay.
the last 6 months.
because of the shortage of people.
Data
Exactly.
scientists. Yep.
Okay, so and that's like, let's say at the top, and who would earn that? The top data scientist in the company, or somebody
No,
who?
no. I would say a reasonably good data scientist should be able to make in between $200,000 and $300,000 now in New York.
And what does an entry level data scientist do
100 grand, 100,000.
in the US? What would they do in Latin America?
I would say in Latin America, 75,000.
Okay.
Right.
So we're talking today, 75K. Now that's what you want to say. 75,000 for what? What do you have to do? What do you have to know in order to earn that 75K?
Well, this is why I want to explain to everybody. Many people think data science is nothing, none of this, it's all of it. And it's an important distinction to understand these different levels, where you really start to really talk about data scientists in what I would say is if you think of big companies, let's say big companies, what are you going to have, right? You're going to have a configuration like this. You're going to have your DBAs and your software engineers creating data. You're going to have your data engineer, the next layer up, really understanding the data and placing it and engineering it to work fast and good and not losing it and be reliable. Your data analyst is going to make sure it's clean and functioning properly. Your BI analyst is actually going to start to do your basic analytics, right? How many customers do I have? How much spend per customer? Things of that, and actually start generating data that the data scientists, now we're really getting into the data science, where you're going to have A/B testing, experimentation, you're going to use algorithms to predict things. And then at the very, very top, and very few businesses actually do this today, is where you have AI and deep learning. And this is where your research data scientists and your data science core machine learning engineers are. And those guys at the top, they're the ones who are making $300,000.
Okay. And how long does it take to climb that pyramid?
Well, good. It's funny you should ask. Well, not just how long, but how do you climb that pyramid, right? So you may be happy actually being a data analyst and not knowing that was a data scientist, but a data scientist in a small company actually has to do all of that, right? So if you're in a 1 to 10 person, you will be hired as a data scientist. You're the unicorn. You know how to do the implementation. You know how to do each of these layers all the way to the top. And so it's really, the question is, how long does it take to become a unicorn? I suspect it would take 7 years or so.
But you're referring to the unicorn as the ultimate goal of the data scientist, not the size of the company.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, you will have, people who focus and specialize in certain areas. And if you're particularly interested in, being a data scientist, which I encourage, right? The foundational knowledge is you have to understand these things beneath it, which is what you need to, which is what you get trained on, and that's where you want to shorten your as much as possible through training. And actually, the next slide is, how do you start your career, right? These are kind of some of the thoughts that I threw together real quick. If you want to be a data scientist, learn SQL, period, right? There's no questions. If you don't know SQL, you're not going to be a data scientist. Learn Python. Learn a database. It doesn't matter which database, but learn SQL, Postgres, Tableau, right? Sorry, that's not a database, but Postgres. Learn Snowflake. Learn Redshift. All of these different ones. It doesn't matter. Pick one, because the rest are all very similar. Then you choose a visualization tool such as Tableau, right? So ultimately, these are step ones and the very basics. And the next step you want to do is, this is where you take some good courses in data, right? This data is not necessarily intuitive. There are certain structures and capabilities that a DBA, a data engineer, data analyst, etc. You need to understand these, let's call them critical paths to doing something properly. And there are ways of doing things wrong. And the instructing in the courses will teach you these things in a rapid fashion. And you want to do that from a reputable company that has had experience and does engineering and data science on a routine basis, right? Next one is build up your, as you're doing your course, you want to build up your CV and make sure that you understand, what do you want to do inside of this? Do you want to, do you want to work in finance? Do you want to work in banking, or sorry, in insurance? Every one of those uses data science differently. The next step would be build out a standout data portfolio. So if you're not familiar with Kaggle, get familiar with Kaggle. They have competitions. You can learn a lot. I, to this day, still sign up for the competitions just to see if I can outdo some of the new kids on the block on the algorithms that I choose to actually do the predictions. So they have new ones out every week, and it's a great place to go, and it's free. GitHub is another. You need to learn GitHub and to understand all of these applications together. Then I highly recommend applying for internships and attend as many interviews as you can possibly attend. There's even today, I'm the CEO of a company, and if someone is not smart enough to understand, actually, they'll send me, hey, I'd like to introduce you to our CEO. So he's looking for someone. I'll take the interview, knowing full well I'm not going to take a job, but maybe I can find someone new and interesting to work with. And so go to those meetings, apply for internships, get out there and practice, because that's what takes time. You have to get time, you have to start working on stuff. And then, and that's kind of the 5 steps to doing it. Once you've got your internship, you've got your interviews, now you have to, work, and it's a consistent work. Right?
That's a good summary. That's a great summary. So, I mean, who would hire you as a data scientist today? Anybody? Are you targeting specific industries that are more advanced or are looking for more profiles like the ones that you just described?
So we have projects for data science in insurance, figuring out how risky are certain individuals for tenants. We have a data science project for a augmented reality system. We're trying to figure out for companies with that repair cars here in the West Coast, whether or not the repairs have been done properly. We're using analytics and machine learning to figure out who's doing those repairs, who's doing them right, who's doing them wrong, and then trying to predict what types of mistakes they are so that we can proactively make changes to fix that. We're working with an autonomous vehicle project in Florida, and this is where we're using a lot of data to figure out what's the best way to get people around the parking lot, what's the quickest way, so the shortest path, because all the software today seems to be around taking people from point A to point B, but what about finding a parking spot in a parking lot? What do you do? And so you have a lot of different AI that goes into that. We also use it for helping do classic conversion, right? From how do you change someone from being a viewer of your website to a subscriber of your website? And so we're doing a lot of analytics and machine learning to figure out what behavioral patterns indicate that we can actually convert you. And lastly, we're doing a project with a number of different, well, with a company in particular, and we're helping them optimize the way their product portfolio that they're offering, from t-shirts and shoes and things of that nature. And in this case, we have 120,000 streams of data every day coming in from 600,000 retailers around the planet.
Wow. Yeah, well, we talk about data, all the numbers are huge, right? You talk about billions of data points, right, that you manage. So the in regards to the current shortage of employees that it's being talked about everywhere, and the whole thing about the U.S. maybe, and actually it's happening. You're looking for a lot of positions, right?
I am.
But you've seen this before, right? And actually, Dressler Consulting has a booth on the fair, and there's you have about 70 positions, as I understand, that are
Yep.
open right now.
Yes.
So there might be only a few job descriptions, but there are multiple positions per job description available.
Yep.
So that is important to know.
We are looking for people in every layer of this pyramid.
Interesting. So obviously you've dealt with this need because in your story, when you went to the Ukraine and to the Eastern countries, you had to develop because you didn't find the resources there, and you had to develop. Is that where you came up, and how did you come up with the name, now that it's on the screen, for Deaf Republic? How did that idea come up?
Well, so one of the things that we noticed is that there is early on, this is years ago, we noticed that there is not a lot of data science. There's a huge demand for data science, huge demand for data scientists, and we were not able to fill those roles. So we decided to take a more longer term view and start, in this case, start training people to learn, data science and other parts of it as well. And that's why we put together specifically courses that were, I would say, we put together not courses, but things that were important to us as a business. And what we needed we felt the data scientists needed to know to be valuable to the marketplace. Meaning if someone, gets this a level of training, once completed, they should easily be able to get a job or find a job in their chosen profession, because they've got real world experience, real world problems, real world things to study in those courses. It's not just made up stuff. It's not academic. It is real problems to be dealt with. And so we wrapped that up, and we figured to be competitive, Dev Republic is a separate company. It is its own entity. And if Dressler doesn't hire the person, we have other companies that are trying to hire them too. So we have to compete with those others that are hiring the graduates of Dev Republic.
And I understand that the graduation and the hiring rate is like 100%, right?
If you complete the Dev Republic course and you attend the classes and you pass the tests, there is 100% guarantee. If you can't get a job within 6 months, we give you your money back.
Wow, interesting. Well, that is basically one of the reasons why we decided at Busqueros that we wanted to partner with Chris and his team. Chris has a team of over 200 people in the U.S. and a number of people between the U.S. and
all over the world.
Yeah. All over the world, data scientists, PhDs, people who are really looking and understanding data. And of course, we at Busqueros value data tremendously. And that's why Íñigo has taken the role, and he's obviously actively already working with you on all of this. And precisely what we think, and one of the things that we understand that we can help the users today, the people who are looking for work, is to present opportunities like these that can rapidly transform their careers and their lives, right? And I want to address the term part of it, and then talk about what does it cost. But in terms of the term, you've designed a curriculum that it's about 4 or 5 months and 5.5 months from, right? And so how can you suddenly in 5 months make somebody who probably is even unemployed and open them up to make $75K a year? I mean, that's like magic, right? What does somebody have? What do they need to have in order for that to happen?
So a couple of things. One is we call this a boot camp, and the reason it's a boot camp is that it's very hard. right? The reality is we're going to start by, I shouldn't say it's really hard. It is not the simplest thing to do. We will be studying calculus, we will be studying Python, we will be studying algorithms, we will be studying, you know, the different ways of manipulating and managing data. There's a lot of stuff to learn, but if it's structured and you do it in a step-by-step methodical way, you can actually learn it in a reasonable amount of time. It's not about pass fail. We want everyone passes, right? And we're going to work with you to help you understand some of these concepts, which can be sometimes complex. Ultimately, by going from this one step and basically living, eating, and breathing data science for that period of time, you're going to come out of the other side, just like boot camp in the military. You're going to come out a new but ready and well-prepared data scientist, ready to step into any organization and say, hey, I'm a junior data scientist and I'm looking to become a senior data scientist. And that starts with, generally speaking, an internship, and you'd be surprised at how quickly it goes up after that. I've seen, you know, people start at $500 a month, and within a year they're at $3,000 a month. And it's that fast that it can happen.
Interesting, interesting. Now, Íñigo, el evento, el curso va a ser en inglés, pero también en español. Explícanos eso, por favor. Estás muteado. Muteado.
Mute. Yep, there you go.
Vale.
Yeah.
No, voy a describir las principales características del curso. El curso, algunas ya las ha mencionado Chris, el curso tiene una duración aproximada de unos 6 meses. Usted recibe clases 3-4 veces por semana en horario de tarde-noche, alrededor de 3 horas de clase. Las clases, los grupos son acotados porque los instructores son instructores en vivo. Usted no está viendo videos ni grabaciones. Usted está con un profesional, con un científico de datos muy competente, aprendiendo lo que se requiere. Son 3 módulos esencialmente, un módulo, ya lo mencionó Chris también, de matemática y estadística, un segundo módulo que tiene que ver con programación en Python y un tercer módulo que ya es propiamente lo que tiene que ver con aprendizaje automático, con Machine Learning. Como decía Chris, hay una garantía de colocación porque una persona que termine este curso, que es un curso muy intensivo, como también lo mencionó él, y por eso se llama Bootcamp, como él lo mencionó, hay una garantía de devolución de dinero. Es decir, si usted lleva el curso, lo completa, obtiene buenas calificaciones consistentemente, si no se le consigue un trabajo adecuado a esas habilidades en un tiempo razonable que se estima inferior a 6 meses, se le devuelve el dinero. Es decir, la oferta es, no hay donde perderse. Es una instrucción orientada 100% a la empleabilidad. De hecho, luego en el panel de las 3 tendremos a uno de los instructores compartiendo su conocimiento con nosotros. Y finalmente, la instrucción se va a brindar en castellano, aunque el material todo está en inglés, porque obviamente el inglés es el idioma en el que se programa en prácticamente todo el mundo, pero la instrucción la van a dar instructores en español, en castellano. Entonces, porque está orientada a población de Latinoamérica, que no requiere necesariamente niveles sofisticados de inglés. Y el precio es un precio competitivo comparado con ofertas de naturaleza similar que existen en Costa Rica y en el continente. Entonces, extendemos una cordial invitación a todo el que quiera o bien iniciarse en esto, o bien, como decías vos, Rafael, cambiar de carrera o cambiar de énfasis, a que considere esta propuesta y se apunte. Puede hacerlo ahí mismo, como decías vos, en el booth, en el stand de The Republic en la propia feria.
Efectivamente. Además, quiero anunciar que tanto Busqueros como Dressler obviamente son los primeros las 2 primeras empresas que serán campo fértil para conseguir esos internships. Okay, so I'm saying, Chris, that both Dressler, you have plenty of positions. So the moment that we see a shining a star on part of our boot camps. How many have you hired? You've hired a number of.
I just hired 2 yesterday.
Oh,
Just hired 2 interns yesterday.
there you go. So you're constantly adding people to your team. We're
Yep.
also adding and growing the data team as we go. And so it's one of the reasons why we're doing it.
Well,
So
Interesting thing. One of the roles, the reason I was hiring one of those positions is because when you do these boot camps and we work together, we get to know each other pretty well. And you start to build positive relationships with these folks because you're part of a team. And when team members leave, there's usually a very good reason for it. This person was able to find a job that I could not pay the same amount, right? After 2 years of working with us, she went from $1,000 a month to $5,000 a month. And they offered her a raise, and I said, I can't do it. They win. And she went to a very large company in Ukraine, and we keep in touch and we like each other very much. And those are the great things. That's where we say we were successful. Within the period of 2 years, we were able to get her basically a new life.
interesting. So obviously they're making money. Are they having fun? Do you have fun as a
Yes.
data scientist? When do you have the most fun as a data scientist? When are you like, wow, I'm in the zone, right?
There's a lot of interesting problems that you can deal with, and people tend to like to deal with certain problems. One problem we were dealing with that was really fun is trying to figure out, using machine learning, the migratory paths of birds in the North America as they fly to South America. And we take observations from a bunch of universities, for bird watching organizations. We took all of these observations, and we would come up with paths that these birds were using. And then the Audubon Society, which is a bird-oriented society, they were looking at ways of understanding what plots of land they needed to buy to enable these birds to make migrations from North America to South America. And we were able to look at the data and show them, one, it's possible to predict these patterns, and it's possible to identify property and things in the path so that they can safely make that journey from north to south.
Very interesting. So in a world that it's more and more regulating data usage and personal data sharing, the Europeans obviously have the famous cookie law, and the California has the same law, and there's obviously more and more laws. What other, let's say, traits is there more moral / legal issues that you have to deal with as a data scientist as well?
Of course, that's always going to be the problem, right? So at cable companies, for example, we have access to proprietary data, private data. We know your address, we know where you live, we know how much you pay, we know all of these different things about you, because we are connected to you by a wire, and we know this stuff. So whenever dealing with data of that nature, there's a lot of different things that you're taught in the course. How do you process data while preserving privacy? And there's a number of ways of doing it. It's not just by encrypting data. That's too simple. You have to be more sophisticated than that. And so in these courses, you learn how do you mix data up so that it works the same, but it's not giving away private data or privacy. You're given tools to learn how to visualize data. You're given skills, and how do which algorithms should you be using? Is this a binary classification issue, or is this a regression issue, or is this a anomaly detection? There are numbers of algorithms in all of these categories, and you need to learn the proper usage for these algorithms. And this is exactly what these boot camps do.
Okay, the boot camp is scheduled for early October, right? We want to close, and there's ample opportunities to, obviously, you have to go through a process, right? You have to be interviewed. So not everybody can do this course. Unfortunately, you need some specific knowledge. You need to be good at math. You need to be willing to solve problems on a constant basis, which is what just Chris explained, what you do as a data scientist. And money-wise, it's not going to be a tremendous burden. And there are obviously payment plans that can be implemented based on your position. So today we announced together with Dressler that obviously we're launching this the school. We are putting out a press release, and we're all very happy. We're joining forces in doing this, and trying to solve one of the main problems in Latin America, which is developing good paying jobs that can be done in the local markets, right? And that, of course, helps the taxes at the local level. You know, and the governments obviously need to deal with how to collect taxes from workers, from people working remote, and that's I'm sure they're all scrambling to do that. But it also refrains migration, right? We now live in a world that travel is restricted. So, this is a great opportunity for somebody in the, business world who already has some business and has some math. If you did economics, of course you went through, calculus. If you did, accounting, you do a lot of math. If you went through engineering, of course, you know a lot of calculus. It's going to be really easy for you. Can somebody who knows calculus advance faster in the course? There is a question in the Q&A. Let's see if... this is a good question. What is the difference between big data and data science?
So I can answer that. Big data is a category of, let's say, problems that are trying to be resolved through sensory data. Let's call it small, discrete pieces of information. So from our set-top boxes, right? If you want to gather data from a set-top box at home, you only need a few things: changing a channel to, and if I need one piece, that if I know when you're changing the channel, right? I know where you're changing it from. I know where you changed it to. I now know I can combine that with external data, such as the program schedule. I know what you watched. Then I can actually start, based on that, I can figure out kind of who you are, a guy or a girl, and I can get some demographic data. I can build a picture of you based on a very simple piece of data and having a large volume of it, right? Because I can see I can take that temperature every hour and you got tons of it. Data science big data is just simply the methods for taking and processing those large, trillions of observations in a day or in a month. And so how do you deal with those big things? There are different tools that are specially made that chop it up and like Spark and things of that nature that help you process large volumes of data. Does that answer the question? Yep.
I think it does. So anyway, I think we're running out of, we're coming to the end. Is there like one, and for you also, Inigo, and for you, Chris, one recommendation you make for somebody considering this course, not doing the course, but taking this course in their career? One last recommendation.
Inigo?
Comienzo yo. Yo invito a cualquiera, como decías tú, Rafael, que le guste resolver problemas y que le guste la programación, a involucrarse en esta disciplina. Realmente no es solo lo que aprendes, sino, como señalaba Chris, la diversidad de problemas a los que te vas a enfrentar son realmente asombrosos. Y para una mentalidad inquisitiva, para alguien que realmente le guste preguntarse cosas, aprender y tratar de resolverlas, esta es la carrera ideal. En este caso estás haciendo una inversión monetaria, bien, por un periodo muy acotado, que te va a demandar mucho, pero si sales triunfante al final de esa ordalía, de ese periodo de 6 meses, vas a ser realmente un profesional con una carrera por delante.
Muy bien. How about you, Chris?
So with the COVID, it has become obvious and clear to many organizations that working remotely is now more economical and more real than ever before, which means that technology resources such as data science now is a global commodity. Ultimately, you have to pay global prices, meaning that if you're sitting in South America, somewhere in Latin America, where your wages aren't as high as those in New York, the reality is that people all over the world from New York can now hire you, and they're going to be paying those same prices as New York. So becoming part of a valuable global commodity, that sounds terrible, but by becoming part of a global educated group of individuals is actually more powerful now than it's ever been. And I highly recommend educating and getting more education. Once you learn something, no one can take it away from you.
Fantastic. Well, we will be following up with more webinars and more information about data science. Also, we have some content on our site to guide you. And there is the booth at the Costa Rica Fair right now, which will remain. By the way, the fair does not end this Friday. This is the inaugural week. We have lots of positions that we need to fill, and we still haven't done that. We have now a lot of positions on the tourism sector, which are interesting, very for lower educated people, and we have positions in the data and the technology and in the service industries. So it keeps on going. Thank you very much, Chris, for joining us and for
Just that quick question on the website.
Yeah. Go ahead.
We just got a quick question, and I was just going to say, the website has some
answer, of course. Where can I find out about the minimum requirement to join the school? Okay, that is, as I said, it's on the actually, let's share with you the URL, the address. Actually, I know some member of our team are there. It's an anonymous message, so let me type the answer here of an email. Write to Íñigo. Let me write, if you can write to Íñigo at busqueros.com, and he can send you the address. Okay, and it's on the website. I mean, it's on the, if you go to the Busqueros Costa Rica Fair, the booth is there. It's Deaf Republic, and there's people there who can also attend to your needs and answer any questions. Well, thank you again, Chris. Thank you, Íñigo. Thank you, Jose Ramon. Let's close it there. If anybody else has another question, I don't think so. I think it was a great 40 minutes. Lots of information. We'll distribute it through all of our channels and get the message out. Thank you very much again.
Thank you very much, Busqueros. We'll see you in like 15 minutes in another panel.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye. Bye, Chris.
Take it easy. See you later.